Hey, what's up you guys? My name's Allie and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to have just like a little chat about everything that's been going on. It's been crazy, right? Like, none of us has ever experienced anything like this. No one alive has ever been through a pandemic like this. We've never had the response with all the businesses being shut down, people being laid off from work, schools being canceled. It's crazy. We've never seen it before. Hopefully we'll never see it again. But I just wanted to see how you are. You who are watching this. Hopefully somebody's watching this. I hope you're doing okay. And if someone asks you how you're doing, I'm guessing that you probably are saying, okay. And maybe that's true, but I'm betting it's probably not entirely true, right? We're all feeling a lot of very negative emotions. And I just kind of want to talk to you a little bit about that today. So if you didn't know, I actually am trained as a counselor. I spent a lot of money to call myself a nationally certified counselor. I have worked in schools in the past. I just worked in a college. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But I just want to see how you're doing. You know, we're here to have a little bit of conversation. It might be one-sided right now, but feel free to leave me comments or send me a message on Instagram, or send me a text or give me a call if I know you personally. But let's just talk about emotions for a second. And before you're like, oh God, let's get off of this, know that this is for you. I want to be able to help you in any way I can through this YouTube platform. And I'll start off by saying that we all feel emotions, right? We're all human. No matter how good any of us are or hope to be, we're all gonna feel the whole range of emotions, from the very good to the kind of uglier side. And unfortunately, as a society, as a human race, we've taken those uglier, negative emotions and we say, get rid of them, don't think about them, push them to the side, especially if you're a guy a lot, unfortunately. But those emotions are real, and those emotions are not bad. They might make you not feel great, but they're not bad in and of themselves. They're what make us who we are. And I will always say the lowest of the lows make the highest of the highs that much better. If we didn't have bad times, how would we even know that we were having good times, right? It's okay to have negative emotions. You don't need to automatically try to get rid of them as fast as you can. If you try to do that, maybe you've done it in the past, I've done it in the past, you try to work through those emotions so fast and then you don't really deal with them, they creep up later, they impact your life longer than they would have if you would have just kind of confronted them head on. I think the situation that we're going through now as an entire world united, we're all dealing with this virus. Some areas, of course, are more impacted than others as far as the spread of the virus, but we're all impacted in some way, and that's kind of what I want to talk about. Maybe you're watching this and you are a younger person, you don't live on your own yet, maybe you're still in school, and you don't necessarily have a lot of responsibilities on your shoulder, you don't have a family to take care of, you don't have a job that you're worried about losing, or maybe you've already lost one. So if you're a younger person, you might be thinking, man, I have some like negative emotions, right? My school got canceled, I miss my friends, my sports season got canceled, I can't go to prom, like I miss my college friends, this is so weird, whatever. And you might not think that you're allowed to feel those things because people are dying, because people have lost their jobs. All of these things that are very important, arguably a little bit more important than a dance. But the difference is, yes, those situations may be slightly more impactful, but your emotions are the same. Someone loses their job and then loses their house, and all of these horrible things happen that are very, very impactful on that person's life and their family's life. They're gonna feel depressed, they're gonna feel anxious, they're gonna feel these negative emotions. But if you can't go to your prom and you're not able to go visit that college that you wanted to visit, and you don't get to have your sports season, obviously that is not going to be as harmful to your life as losing your job or losing your house. But you're still feeling despair, you're still feeling anxiety, you're still feeling sad. They're the same emotions, and they are valid. You are allowed to feel them. If you're a student or a younger person, and someone asks you how you're doing, you're allowed to say, I'm pretty sad that I can't go to prom. You don't have to feel like you have to hide that, because that is sad. You don't get to go to prom, and you will go through some levels of grief because you can't do that. And I just am here to tell you that I'm sorry that you can't do those things and that it sucks. Because something else that I think a lot of people do, and I'm guilty of it too, I'm definitely not perfect or nice or have the right thing to say at all the time. But when I'm in counselor mode, I'm a little bit better, right? Something that you probably have heard a lot of people say is, at least this. So maybe you say to someone, well, I'm bummed that I don't have my spring season. But someone might say to you, well, at least you don't have the coronavirus. At least you're not dead. All these very, very extreme circumstances. And then you might think to yourself, oh man, they're right. Like, at least that stuff isn't happening to me. I really have no right to feel this way. Why do I feel this way? Bad me, stop feeling these feelings. Like, be grateful, be happy, whatever. No. You are allowed to feel those feelings, okay? I'm telling you right now, you're allowed to feel them. Because, as I said, if you don't feel them, if you don't acknowledge them, if you don't accept them, they can come up and really bite you in the butt later, and that's not what we want. So my advice is, if you're feeling an emotion, instead of shoving it down, name it. Say, I am feeling anxious. Then say, okay, why am I feeling anxious? I'm feeling anxious because I'm not good at technology and I don't know how to do my schoolwork online. That's causing me anxiety. Okay, now what can you do about it? That's what you want to focus on. What can you do about certain things? So I'd like to talk to you a little bit about what you can do to work through those feelings of anxiety, of depression, because you don't want to dwell on them. Because when you dwell on the negative emotions, that's when your life is really going to be impacted. You're really going to start having a negative mindset, and we don't want that. It's okay to feel them, but we don't want to dwell on them. Remember that, we don't want to dwell. So you're feeling anxious, you're feeling depressed. What can you do? Well, what do you like to do? What usually relieves anxiety and depression from you other times, other situations? Sometimes I think there are such stereotypical ways that people work through anxiety, like journaling or squeezing a stress ball, whatever, and people are like, well, that doesn't work for me, so I can't be helped. I can't work through this, whatever. No, you can be helped. You're just focusing on the wrong things. So for me, I am someone who enjoys writing, so journaling might be helpful to me. But that's because I like writing, okay? If you don't like writing, journaling is probably not the best thing for you. Let's say you're an athlete and you haven't been able to have your practices, you haven't been able to have your games. You're not used to not being able to get that energy out through athletics. Well, a good coping technique for you then would be to kind of develop a really strong workout routine at home by playing that sport as much as you can at home, or just, going for a run, going for a walk, using any equipment you might have at your house, doing at-home workouts. There's a ton on YouTube that you can find for free. There's a lot of different subscriptions that you can pay a pretty small price and be able to get all these different workouts. So that might be the solution for you to relieve some anxiety. Maybe you like to listen to music, maybe you like to play music. That might work for you, but it might not work for someone else. That's kind of what I'm getting at here. Focus on what you're good at, what you like, what relieves anxiety for you. I personally like to read a lot, but I would encourage you, just kind of in a broad sense, to focus on what a new talent you can acquire is. What is something that you can make? That's going to look different for all people. Maybe somebody wants to learn how to play the piano. Maybe another person wants to start a YouTube channel, whatever. Whatever you want to do, focus on something that will be enjoyable to you that you can create. It's really important that at the end of the day you feel like you accomplished something. And while I love Netflix as much as the next person, Carol definitely killed her husband. As much as Netflix can also be kind of a coping strategy, you don't want to do that all day. But if you have something productive that you've accomplished, you will just feel so much better about your day. So I would always recommend that you try to accomplish something every day, whether that's schoolwork, development in the new hobby you've been working on. Whatever that is, think about what you've accomplished at the end of the day. And I would recommend too that you either think or write about 3 things that you are grateful for at the end of the day. And you can also wake up and think about or write those things as well. Because those times when you're going to sleep and when you're waking up have a lot of power over those thoughts. And you definitely want to lean on your family and friends during this time. There are so many ways for us to connect to each other. We have video calling, we have the telephone, we have letters, we have social media, we have all these different things, different ways that we can still be around our loved ones. Especially if you are unfortunately isolated by yourself. First of all, I'm so sorry, I can't even imagine being by myself during this time, but you are going to be one who, even if you are a very introverted person, it's still going to be really beneficial for you to connect to your loved ones. I would recommend that you kind of set up some kind of date with somebody that you care about every single day, whether that is through a video call or phone call or whatever, but that will give you something to look forward to and it will give you some kind of social interaction during the day. Of course, it's not quite as good as being together in reality, but it is something, and I promise it will help you feel a little bit better. We as a world are all in this together, and we're all feeling those negative emotions. I kind of want to sum everything up by just leaving you with a thought I try to remind myself many times throughout the day that have helped get me through life and have helped get me through a lot of anxiety and depression at different points in my life, and that is to focus on what you can control. It sounds like such a simple statement, but it is so powerful if you truly adopt it into your lifestyle and start trying to change your mindset based on that phrase, to focus on what you can control. If you are a reader, I would recommend reading Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. If you don't know, Viktor Frankl was a psychiatrist who was unfortunately put into a concentration camp during World War II, and that's what his book is based off of. He talks a lot about that thought, focusing on what you can control. People can take away everything from you. For him in the concentration camp, everything was taken from him. But the one thing that was not taken from him, what cannot be taken from any of us, is our minds, right? We always have control over what we think. We always have control over our perspective. And nobody can ever change that. So for Viktor Frankl in the concentration camps, he actually talks about how he honestly didn't feel that bad. Can you imagine that, being in the concentration camps and not feeling that bad? All these terrible things were happening to him. People were dying around him. He was starving to death. He didn't really have a negative mindset. He did not let himself dwell on those negative thoughts. He decided to focus on the good. He decided to take control of his own mind, and he credits that with his survival. He says so often he saw so many people that died because they had lost the will to live, and that was something that he refused to lose. That was the decision that he made within his mind that they could not do anything about, no matter what they made him do, no matter what they took from him. He chose to have a good perspective. And guys, if Viktor Frankl can have a good perspective about being in the concentration camps, I think we can have a good perspective about getting through this situation. Because it is a temporary situation. Even though we don't know exactly when this will all be over, we don't know how many people will unfortunately get sick and die, there will be an end, hopefully sooner rather than later. We'll get through this, so do your best to adopt a positive mindset, and realize too that it is a habit. It's a habit that I've been working on forming for years. And guys, I am not perfect. Like, I screw up all the time. I say things I wish I hadn't. I think negatively about things. But the point is, I'm working on it constantly, and I would encourage you to as well. Because adopting that whole attitude of focusing on what you can control, that will help you through any situation in life, not just through COVID-19. You know, this will end, but life will always have its hardships. Things will always happen to you that you can't do anything about, no matter how much you plan. I'll tell you, I recently lost my job. Just a few days ago, I got an unexpected video call that I had been laid off. And it was really difficult for me to hear that day, and I was in a pretty bad mood. I love the job that I have, and I pray that I am able to come back when this is all over. This job is something that I really had worked my whole life to get. I finally got the job I really enjoyed, and I did a good job. I did not deserve to be let go. Because of our current situation, so many people are getting let go that don't deserve to be. And that's something that we cannot control. I could be the best worker on earth, but if they can't afford to pay me, they can't afford to pay me, and they're gonna let me go. So those are the kind of things that we just have to come to terms with. And because of my attitude of focusing on what I can control, I was really able to move through such a really terrible thing for me pretty quickly. And of course I'm still sad about it, and I do desperately hope that I'm able to come back. But I am thinking about what I can do in the current situation, ways that I can grow during this time period, things that I can do. And there are blessings. I love to write. Now I have more time to write. I want to start a podcast. Maybe I'll start it earlier than I thought. We'll see. So there are blessings, and to kind of try to think about those blessings during the dark times, that can be really helpful. And if you are a faithful person, don't forget to turn to God. I am a Christian. I'm a Catholic Christian. That is something that's very important in my life. I'm always working to make it the most important thing in my life, the thing that I'm thinking about at the back of my mind at all times. Also a work in progress, right? But something that really gives me a lot of peace is prayer and spending time with God in any way I can. None of us can go to church at this time, but a lot of churches are streaming their services. I've seen a lot of people are having their Bible studies online or just connecting with whatever group they're involved with at church through video conferencing or phone calls or texting or whatever. So if you are a faithful person, there are many ways to still be involved, and I would encourage you to do anything you can. I hope this video was a little bit helpful to you. This is really a terrible time, guys. There's no denying that. It's important that we're here to support each other during this time. I am just a message away. Please don't hesitate to reach out. I'll also be linking some resources down below. You are loved, you are important, and you are going to get through this. We're all going to get through this together. I wish you the best of luck through these dark times, and thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!